This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Got another week of New York Knicks basketball, and tonight is a big one, no doubt about it. The Knicks are 2-4 in the season. This is a must-win situation. They got to win tonight. First, the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Clippers are debuting James Harden, so it makes it a big night for the Clippers. There's going to be a lot of energy involved from both parties because the Knicks are desperate. There's no doubt about that. The Knicks are desperate. They desperately need a win tonight. And the Clippers, James Harden is coming out to prove that, he can go out there and do his thing and be part of that Los Angeles Clipper team, culture, whatever you want to say. Part of that injury culture over there. I don't know who's ever going to play for them. Big shout out to my guy, Ken. Thank you for hitting me on the Cash App, ladies and gentlemen. Or Ken, thank you. He says, salute to you. Good work. I appreciate it. And as you know, ladies and gentlemen, channel's been demonetized. So if you want to support the channel, please feel free to support the channel. You can hit me on my Cash App, $ nothing but Knicks, or paypal.me/nothing but Knicks. And I'll have those in the chat shortly. I'll remind you a couple of times throughout the show. I don't want to overwhelm you with it, but I'll remind you a couple of times. Let me get my guy Andy in the building. You know what I mean? It's been a minute. Andy, what's poppin' with you, my brother? How you feeling? Very glad to see you here.
Yeah, me too, Sim. Glad to be here. And salute to the chat.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Big game for the Knicks tonight. For this to be the 7th game of the season, this is a big game for the Knicks. They need to get this win.
Yeah, that's true, Sim. We all know how Knicks fan base is. There's not much, margin for losses because people tend to panic. I'm not at that poll of people. I'd say I'm still not hitting the panic button, but you can see some things that might worry, Knicks fans, and I think it's clear for Knicks what needs to be done to turn the ship around. Let's say it that way.
Yeah, are we at the turn the ship around stage? Are we at that stage? I mean, listen, we've seen how many teams throughout history of basketball have we seen start off 2-4, 2-5, and then come back on the season. We've seen a lot of teams, tons of teams do it.
Yeah. And Sim, just to add what you said, listen, we played, at least I can say, how I feel about it. I think we played really, maybe not really bad, but we played mediocre basketball and we were still in games, late in games.
Right.
Which means, fixing, tweaking a little bit, of the shooting percentages might get you a W, right? And just to add to that, of course, there are always going to be, fingers pointed to certain players. Not one, not two, but, we know how this goes. So, it's
definitely
easy to blame
one
person.
Definitely one. One is going to get some fingers pointed, and he deserves it right now. There's no doubt about it. He deserves to have some fingers pointed at him right now.
Yeah,
Playing
I'm not
terrible
gonna
basketball.
lie. I kind of agree with it, but on the other hand, Sim, I think his role changed from game one. I think if we are talking about the same guy, which is Julius Randle, I think
That's the guy.
his his role changed. I think he noticed after just 2-3 games that he's gonna be the guy number 3 on this roster. Maybe it went in the off season that Jaylen Brunson had the uber green light to take shots, and just to maybe not defend Julius, but what we can all see is that Julius isn't taking that amount of shots that he was taking last season. And I think maybe that's somewhere as like under his conscious and something like that he's like the third option, and we know that he said so that he's comfortable with it, he would be happy with it. But deep down
But do you
under the
think
skin, I'm not sure.
do you think he's not taking as many shots because he's a third option, or because he's not hitting the shot? So he's like, you know what, I'm not going to shoot it as much.
Well, Sim, if that's the second situation, I'm kind of happy because I wouldn't feel more comfortable if he scored like 12 points on 22 shots, right?
Right.
I'd rather him take 15 and score 8 or 7 points.
Right.
Because, those 4-6 shots can be easily distributed throughout Grimes, even Mitch Robinson, right? And they're probably going to, make more shots than Julius at this point. Question is, we know that, for me at least, the biggest problem is that when Julius isn't hitting shots, it affects his game overall. And that goes to, you can see that on the defensive end, because clearly if he's not making shots or playing good basketball on offense, he is not playing defense. He's literally walking down the court back. And that's unacceptable kind of way. I hope it's not a thing with him that he knows that the Knicks don't have a serious number 4 option, like a power forward, like a second option behind him, and he's like trying to point it out that he's irreplaceable or something like that, because I don't think that's true. But still, I think, and I would be really comfortable if we got a backup power forward. Maybe, Taj Gibson isn't my, favorite there, right? But we saw the Sixers get, Mook Morris, Robert Covington, and a bunch of wings that I think would easily flip them for 2 second-round picks or a first-rounder. And getting Mook back on the Knicks, you kind of fill out that, goon type mentality on your roster, and he can spare minutes for Randle. Even if he has a really bad game, Mook can get 20, 25 minutes a game. And he's a bigger body, stronger guy, and you kind of motivate Julius to keep it, a buck when he's on the court.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I mean, we got some people in the chat said, they feel he's going to turn it around. East Blue Drew said, Phil Randle's going to turn it around tonight. He's in the Garden, so he has to. Keith Turner said one thing about Julius Randle: he cares about his stats and his contract. He's going to turn it around. I don't think it's Julius Randle's playing terrible basketball, right? There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? He's making bad decisions as far as, who to pass the ball out to, when to make those passes, et cetera, et cetera. He's not shooting when he, there are times when he, he'll get the ball in the lane and he should take the shot, right? And instead he stops to, pass the ball out or whatever that is, just not making good decisions all over the place.
Not in rhythm, totally
right.
not
in rhythm. He's not making good decisions all over the place. Not playing good basketball. I don't think there's any kind of like sabotage on his behalf. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to show you that
No.
I'm irreplaceable. I don't think that. I think he's struggling, and a lot of it is due to him. Most of it is due to him, and him not being in rhythm. Some of it is due to the style of play. Some of it is due to other teams using that playoff style defense against the Knicks, and there are just some, in my opinion, some skill sets that Julius Randle doesn't have that will allow him to, kind of get himself out of the slump, given the type of defense that's being played against the Knicks. You know what I mean? I don't feel he has that mid-range jump shot that when teams load up, he can just kind of pull up and knock that down. I don't think it's there. But you know how things are gonna go. Julius Randle is the most hated hometown player in the league. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Since
how
Frank
it's
is
always gonna
gone,
go.
right?
Right. So you know how it's always gonna go. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. And he's brought some of it on himself just with his play. Of course, he deserves criticism. So fans are gonna definitely give him criticism. He's blamed for being the ball hog on the team. Although, like you said, he's shooting only 15 shots a game, which is below Brunson, maybe below RJ, although he does lead the team in assists. So I don't think it's just Julius. It's the entire team that is isolation heavy. That's the style of play that this team has. Super isolation heavy. Obviously he's a part of it, because, he gets the ball, holds it, tries to penetrate, draw the defense, and then kick. But, that's still kind of isolation basketball. Even if you're drawing the defense and kicking, that's still isolation basketball when it comes down to it, because instead of using ball movement to get a guy open and man movement to get a guy open, it's more, I'm going to penetrate. If my shot's not there, I'm going to kick it. So we'll see. We'll see how this turns out this season. But, I don't like the way it's shaping up so far, not even just for Julius Randle, but for the team, because I'm feeling like the fan base is obviously going to get on Julius Randle like they are, but Brunson is next. I can guarantee it, Andy. Brunson is going to be next. I've already seen rumblings. You know what I mean? Obviously, Brunson's going to have big nights because he's the number one option, but he's ISO heavy too. Very ISO heavy. He might be more ISO heavy than Julius Randle.
He might be one of the. If you look at the percentages of the possessions, I think he might be top. If not, he's going to be right there behind IQ.
I mean, he gets behind IQ. He gets more minutes than IQ, so he'd probably be ahead of him. But yeah. IQ too is, the same style of player. So it's going to be a fun, intriguing season, to say the least. Just to say the least. To say the least. To say the least. It's going to be a fun, intriguing season, man. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to keep my cool on the whole Twitter thing and just, pass by, because I see people going crazy already. Game number 6, game number 7 tonight, going crazy already. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. What's your thoughts on tonight's game? Before we even get into it, just some quick thoughts about James Harden debuting with the Clippers tonight.
Yeah, of course, like every season, the Knicks luck. Player gets traded, and the first game he plays is versus the Knicks. Mm-hmm. So, you know about that. Listen, the Clippers, it's a tough team for me because they got 4 guys that can score, and they can score in bunches.
Right.
Then again, you only have one ball on offense. So they're not going to be like, it's not going to be like 4 guys are going to get 30 or more from that Clippers team, because
Right.
I don't think that's possible, right? So someone is going to have to take the back seat, or they're just going to be sitting one of the 4 or 2 of the 4 versus teams throughout the season, and they're going to try to do that, right?
Mm-hmm. How can this Clippers team not be the most ISO heavy team in the league?
Oh, and listen, Sim, the fifth guy is Bones Highland, which is IQ clone 2.0. So.
Right. This team has got to be. They're going to have. I mean, they don't got to be, but based on the players that's on the team, you would think they're going to be the most ISO heavy team in the league.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works.
True.
We'll see how it works, but they got a lot of guys that can score. Juan B said they passed the ball. Well, they haven't played a game with James Harden yet, so let's see how that goes. Let's see how it happens. Based on the 2:30 injury report for the Clippers, Brandon Boston Jr. is out. Left quadricep tendinopathy, however, tendinitis. Terrence Mann, left ankle sprain. RJ Barrett is questionable with left knee patellar tendinitis. Both Brandon Boston Jr. and Terrence Mann are out. RJ is questionable. I know Tom Thibodeau had said that he thought, barring a setback, that RJ would be back tonight. Do you expect RJ to be back tonight?
Well, the report said that he practiced, and they're going to see how it goes today. I believe he's going to play. Not only because the Clippers have all their 4, star players out there, but I think the Knicks as a team, as a roster, the players, I think they feel the heat, even if it's not only for themselves. I think they want to do it for guys like Julius. So the blame is like a little bit shifted somewhere else, because I really think that they want to help him as a team. Because a W is going to cancel out almost all the noise. Right. There's going to be only a small group of Twitter fans that are going to point out that Julius still sucked this game. He didn't shoot the ball. He didn't score 30. He didn't have 15 rebounds and stuff like that.
Right.
But like you said, some of this he deserves. But like I said, I think if he makes the shots, he's a totally different player on the other end, and I think that's going to cure everything. Just making, shots or having the lead, he's going to feel way more comfortable to at least attempt that shot, to see that ball go through the hoop and stuff like that. So a win, always wins, and a good record cures everything.
Yeah, always. And when you lose, all of your illnesses.
Yeah. Magnifying glass comes out of the drawer, and
everything comes to light. You know what I mean? When you're losing, everything comes to light. Yeah, I really do hope the Knicks can get a win tonight versus the Clippers. It's going to be tough. They're going to be pumped up. They're in the Garden. James Harden debuting at the Garden. You know what I mean? Hopefully, it gives the Knicks players the same amount of energy. You know what I'm saying? Looking at lineups for tonight, if RJ starts, if RJ is playing, obviously he's going to start. You got Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Randle, Robinson. And then you look at the lineup of the Clippers. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Zubac. That's a crazy lineup. Although Russell Westbrook is not the same guy, right? James Harden is, maybe a step below what he used to be. That's still a crazy lineup right there. Tough to deal with. And Zubac is no slouch.
Yes, indeed, Sim. He has some post moves. I'm not afraid about Zubac, though. The rest of the 4 guys, even if you look at Russell Westbrook, which like you said, he's not gonna attack. He's not that guy that he was a couple of years ago. But if he's gonna get guarded by a guy like Brunson, believe me, he's gonna test out Brunson and try to get that bucket here and there. And Jaylen, as a defender, not a perfect one. He sacrifices his body, but just because of the physical abilities that he's a little bit shorter than the rest of the league, that might be a problem, right? And we know that how James Harden, he's always going to test out every defender, no matter who's versus him, right? So, and Quentin Grimes can guard 3 guys, so
right. There's some difficult matchups here. We're going to get into the matchups just a second. Let's take a look at the bench units, and then we'll start talking about matchups. All right, for the benches, for the Knicks, Emmanuel Quickly, Dante DiVincenzo, assuming that RJ Barrett plays, RJ Barrett at the small forward spot, Josh Hart at power forward, and Isaiah Hartenstein at center. For the Clippers, Bones Highland, Powell, Norman Powell. Then you got either George or Kawhi Leonard at the 3 spot, PJ Tucker at the power forward, and then Plumlee at the center spot. All right. Once you add Paul George or Kawhi Leonard in at that 3 spot, Bones Highland is like a facsimile of Emmanuel Quickly. Maybe not as good, but he can score. He can do things. Powell can score the basketball. PJ Tucker can knock down threes. They have a strong bench unit, I think, as well.
Yeah. We got to have, that bench under control, though. Plumlee, a good rebounder on the offensive and on the defensive end, but, properly, boxed out, I think he can get neutralized, right? But like you said, PJ Tucker, not really an offensive threat, but he can stretch the floor with that corner 3-pointer.
Mm-hmm.
And, we know how the Knicks defend. They try to clog the paint, and most of the times, the wings have that shot in the corner really open, and that might be a problem for the Knicks. Like you said, Bones Highland, a clone of Emmanuel Quickly, and Normal Powell. He's a great role player.
He is.
Looking at him, he can make a bucket. He can, drive to the hoop. He can pass it out. He's like maybe one of the best glue guys in the league, right? Because if it requires, he can score 20 a night.
Right.
If it doesn't, he can rebound, pass, defend, whatever you want, right? So he's one of those guys that you rather have on your squad than the opposite team. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and you got guys in that second unit that can defend. Powell, good defender. PJ Tucker, strong defender. Plumlee can defend. Whether you have Paul George or Kawhi Leonard in with that group, they can defend. I don't know that much about Bones Highland and his defensive abilities, but they got guys in that lineup that can defend. It's not going to be easy for the second unit, no doubt about it. That's going to be, they got some firepower on this basketball team, offensively and defensively. They got some firepower. We're going to talk about matchups in a second. I do want to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, you can support the channel anytime you want to. Definitely appreciate it. $ nothing but Knicks. That's the Cash App. PayPal.me/nothing but Knicks. That's your PayPal information. All right. We appreciate it. You support the channel. Of course, we're going to shout you out on the show. When you support the channel, we're going to shout you out anyway. But, for those who comments that we like, but, support the channel, we'll shout you out. We appreciate it. Without a doubt. Let's talk about some matchups. All right, because these matchups are some difficult matchups here. You know what I mean? Let's go back to the starting unit. Well, let me get the matchups up there. Let's go back to the starting unit, and then we'll take a look at those matchups in the starting unit. Where do you go? Where do you go? I mean, I'm assuming you're going to have Randle on Kawhi Leonard, probably, right? RJ Barrett on Paul George. Quentin Grimes and James Harden. So I guess it leaves Jalen Brunson and Russell Westbrook. I mean, how else can you do these matchups?
Yes, and I think that's the lineup that you're gonna have. Maybe RJ and Julius can switch it up every now and then, depending who's gonna get hotter. But listen, it depends what Julius shows up, right? Because if we see the Julius that's in the game and his head is really focused and stuff like that, I don't feel that we are going to have a letdown on that position. But if we see the Julius from this season and the first 5 games, then a guy like Kawhi won't take advantage of it, maybe. But there's tons of guys on that roster, and then even in that lineup that are really going to try Julius out and test him out. And if that works out for them, they're going to go at him. And I don't think, Tibbs is ready to play Julius like 10, 15 minutes and then play the rest of the bench more minutes. So we can hash those guys out. And even though the bench, Josh Hart, a good guy, Dante DiVincenzo, a great player as far as I see him, but I don't think they can defend, neither Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. So they're too small, and that's clearly forwards. And at least for me, those guys are guards. So,
yeah. I don't know. This, these are tough matchups. Jalen Brunson and Russell Westbrook. How do you feel about that matchup?
Yeah, I'm afraid on with this matchup. I'm afraid about Russell going at Jalen. Right? We know Jalen, he sacrifices his body, but he's always smaller than these guys.
Right.
And I would love to see Westbrook take threes and try to shoot from long distance versus us. And I think that's going to be the case. But I'm not going to lie, Sin, and I don't think I'm going to spoil anything for the Knicks now. If I'm the opposite team, I'm trying to go at Jalen Brunson, not only to tire him out, but maybe he's going to get in foul trouble and stuff like that. That should be literally the top 3 of each game plans versus the Knicks. Yeah. Go at Jalen Brunson, try to get him on the bench.
Right. That's exactly what they're going to do. I would think they're going to go at Jalen Brunson. The Knicks are going to need to be in help mode. Russell Westbrook doesn't have a jump shot, not consistent. You know what I mean?
It's a brick shot.
Yeah, it's a brick shot. So, if I'm Jalen Brunson, I'm going to give him some space. I'm not going to stay up too tight. I'm going to give him some space. Try to force him to shoot it. Now the thing about giving him space, though, is Russell Westbrook is the type of guard that builds up speed with a lot of space. Right? So that's also difficult. And once he gets ahead of steam, it's tough to stop him when he gets ahead of steam. So that's definitely a difficult matchup. Quentin Grimes and James Harden, how do you feel about that matchup?
I'm okay with Grimes on anyone, actually. I understand that these guys are star or superstar players basically every game that Grimes has to deal with, right? So them scoring 25 or even more points is still, a situation where we can say that Quentin Grimes had a good game. And even the last game versus the Bucks, I think he did a terrific job versus Dame Lillard. He got those 2 buckets in the last, minute or two. But throughout the game, I think he really had a problem scoring. And Quentin Grimes had a good game, actually.
He did. I think for most of the game, he played really, really good defense.
Yeah.
On Damian Lillard, it was, those last few minutes when, there were a couple of, not even, he just got caught looking. Yeah. Head looking at the ball, lost sight of Damian Lillard, cuts to the basket, things like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And Sim, this might happen more often versus a guy like James Harden, because James Harden loves to take that dribble. He loves to put you to sleep, like Carmelo Anthony did. Get in that rhythm of his with that dribble. And I think he's more. He has more offensive, savvy and repertoire. Like one of the best offensive players probably in the league.
Yeah.
Currently, and not only shooting, but he can also create and pass out of his offense.
Right.
So that's why, even if he scores 30 or Harden has 7 assists or something like that, that's not going to be surprising to me, at least.
Right.
So,
and I do think James Harden tonight is probably going to. I think he's going to be a passer tonight. Right, it's first night with the team. He's going to be trying to get himself in the rhythm, in the groove with the team. I don't see him, just coming out and chucking up a bunch of shots unless he's just hitting and he's just hot. You know what I mean? I do want to give a shout out to Stafford Don. He said, switch Grimes on the Russell and JB on Harden.
Ooh, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know, Stafford. Russell Westbrook is more at the end of his rope than James Harden. And Russell Westbrook can't shoot the ball. I think I'd stick with JB on Russell Westbrook and Grimes on Harden. I think I'm gonna stick there. Now when we talk about the bench, it's the same thing with the bench. I don't think there's that much wiggle room when it comes to matchups. Right? Let me get the bench up here really quick. Quickly and Bones Highland, natural matchup. Right? DiVincenzo, Norman Powell, RJ Barrett, and whoever else, Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. Josh Hart and PJ Tucker. It's almost like these two teams are mirror image of each other on the bench. And then Hartenstein and Plumlee. Right? Their benches are pretty much the same. Which bench do you give an upper hand to?
I think I would give the upper hand to the Knicks because one, it's an MSG. Two, I think DiVincenzo is maybe not better than Powell, right? But I think his role is a little bit bigger on this Knicks bench than Norman Powell's on that bench. Even though he's longer with the team, I think PJ Tucker is going to stretch that floor with those 3-pointers, as we said.
Mm-hmm.
And Bones Highland is going to try to basically lead that bench squad, right? But I think the rest of the guys, except Powell and Plumlee, they're going to have the majority of the offense. And I think DiVincenzo can impact the court on both sides. And of course, Powell can do it too, but I think DiVincenzo is going to look like he impacts it more for the Knicks than Powell does it for the Clippers. That's why, I would take DiVincenzo. And actually, I saw 2 games from Dante this season that if he would make one more shot, it would almost be a perfect game.
Yeah.
I loved his game. His defense, he reads the cuts. He cuts the passing lanes. He does everything I want from a guy like that. So,
yeah. I'm looking at these benches and I think I'll give it to the Knicks because I think Quickly is better than Bones Highland. But then, of course, you got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, who are probably both better than RJ Barrett. Right? I don't know. Maybe DiVincenzo maybe he's a notch ahead of Norman Powell. The bench units, I think, is going to be a great matchup tonight. I'm not sure who I give it to. I don't know.
And Sim, if I would be the Clippers, I'm not going to lie. If I have 4 guys like that in the starting lineup, except Zubac, I would, mesh him out by sitting only 2.
Yeah.
Imagine they put Powell in instead of Harden, with at least majority of the minutes, not from the get-go, from the tip, but majority of the minutes, they can put Powell because he knows the team better, and they can just roll out with Highland and Harden, and get the rest of the three guys just to rebound the ball for them.
Yeah.
So that's still going to be a tough matchup, and before they get the chemistry together and stuff like that. So this is going to be a really hard game for the Knicks. And I'm not going to lie, we are seeking a win, but
it's gonna be a tough game for the Knicks. Yeah. It's just a tough game. I don't see much, as far as the Clippers, who they defend. Looking at the bench units, I think they're going to match up with their position. Bones Highland will defend quickly. Powell, DiVincenzo, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard, RJ Barrett, PJ Tucker, Josh Hart, and Plumlee on Hartenstein. Simple enough. Going back to the starting lineup, I think you see some difference in who guards who. Right? So Amani the Great said Mr. Sim. And that sounds like, when he says Mr. Sim, that sounds like that's kids in the Boys and Girls Club and stuff. Call me Mr. Sim. I don't know. But he said, I heard Paul George will be guarding Brunson tonight. What do you think about that? I 100% believe that Paul George is going to guard Jalen Brunson tonight. That's what teams have been doing, right? They're putting long guards on Jalen Brunson. I'm not blaming Quentin Grimes for anything, because I seen somebody in the comments the other day say, oh, even when Quentin Grimes has a good game, Sim finds a way to say something bad about him or whatever. I'm not blaming Quentin Grimes. But because Quentin Grimes is strictly 3-and-D, you can just about put any defender on him. Because no matter who's defending him, he's taking the same exact shot every time. He's going to take a kick-out three. He's rarely going to pull up off the dribble. He's not going to break you down off the dribble. The only thing he might do is attack the closeout to get to the basket. But for the most part, he's doing the same thing, right? So that gives you the flexibility to take a taller guard like a Paul George to defend Jalen Brunson. You could take Russell Westbrook and put him on Quentin Grimes, or James Harden and put it on Quentin Grimes. Right? And so now, because you can put a weak defender on Grimes, because all he's going to do is shoot the three. And he's going to shoot it no matter who's guarding him. That person just has to close out. He's either going to make it or miss it. You know what I'm saying? You're not worrying about any other threat right now with Quentin Grimes, so it allows a guy like Paul George to be able to guard Jalen Brunson.
And Sim, if I'm correct, if I remember, it might be even more than a year when we had Quentin Grimes coach. I think he said that he played point guard in high school. So, and I'm not saying, that high school and that point guard, high school level point guard skills are going to be good in the NBA, but, he had the ball in his hands. He definitely had pressure on him when he had to make that dribble and not pick up the ball and stuff like that. We really don't see that in the NBA by Quentin Grimes. Even in the summer league games, he rarely, was playing the point guard and, pull up with the ball through the, half court and stuff like that. So,
yeah. I want to ask you about your thoughts on the other matchups in just a second. I want to give a shout out to Jeffrey Parker. The other day, the last show I did, after the last post game, I received this from Jeffrey Parker, so I wanted to make sure that I got a chance to shout him out today. Thank you for the Cash App. I definitely appreciate you, my brother. 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, support the channel. $. My Cash App is $, nothing but Knicks. You can see it right above my head. PayPal. It's paypal.me/nothing but Knicks. We appreciate your support. And let's talk about other. Well, let me get to a phone call, then we'll talk about some of these other matchups. Caller, you're live. Name me where you're from, please.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Quindell from New Jersey.
Quindell, what's poppin' with you, brother? How you feeling?
What up?
I'm good. What's going on, Sam? What's going on? Andy, my bad. What's going on, Andy?
What up?
As far as like Quinn Grimes,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like right now they should definitely put in what's his name?
DiVincenzo?
Not DiVincenzo. Oh my God,
Fournier.
I'm blanking on
Fournier?
Fournier. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely think because the way they're playing, if Randall's not going to be shooting the ball well and they're going to be loading in on him, they need Fournier because Fournier is going to be moving around.
Right.
He's going to be moving around. He can shoot off the dribble. I think they need that in the lineup, and hopefully Tibbs he sees that. And I don't think really I don't think he sees it, but I think he's just going to stick to what he knows. But I think Fournier would be really good with this group right now. What do you guys think about that?
I've been supporting Tibbs playing Fournier. You know, especially for the time that RJ's been out, and we're still not sure if he's going to be playing tonight. He's questionable for tonight, but for the time that RJ was, I supported having Evan Fournier starting.
Right.
That way you keep the bench intact. He can shoot the ball. He can provide some offense. You know, the Knicks, they seem to play good defense, a strong defensive team. You know, some people will say, well, if you put Fournier in there, maybe they're not as good of a defensive team. But I think the Knicks need his shooting right now.
And Fournier's not that bad on defense. He plays great. He's not like you can beat him off the dribble 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as team defense, he plays great team defense. And from previous years, you can see that he steals the ball 1 to 2 times per game when he's playing at least 30 to 25 to 35 minutes a game.
Yeah.
So I believe that he plays great team defense. It's not gonna be a total drop off from Grimes, but I just think that they definitely need his shooting and his and he attacks too. He attacks.
And you know, he doesn't have to start. You know, they can.
Yeah, he doesn't have to start.
You know, they can use him in spurts, use him in minutes, get some shooting out there on the floor. I do believe the Knicks need his shooting. I don't think Tom Thibodeau's going to play him though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see Tom Thibodeau playing him.
Yeah. And last thing, well, I have another thing too, but with Julius Randle, I'm trying to be as patient as I could be with him. But I feel like we all have to remember that his off season wasn't the same off season that he's had in previous years when he played well during the season.
Right.
He hasn't played. I mean, he hasn't had a full off season. The injury was affecting him during the off season, and he told us, this is the first season where I really had to sit back and he basically just watched film. So I'm guessing that that's part of the reason why he's having a slow start, because he's just not conditioned enough.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I believe that's part of the reason, but, not the only reason. I think there's just a lot that, there's a lot with the team. There's a lot with him as far as, not being in rhythm. There's a lot of things that go into it. I would say that's a part of it, but when you're out there on the floor, I am a firm believer. You're out there on the floor, you can't fall back, and he hasn't. I know he hasn't fell back on it, But if you're out there on the floor, you can't fall back on the injuries. It's like, I'm
Right.
out here. You know what I mean? I'm out here. So there's an expectation when you're on the floor that you're going to be able to do certain things.
If you're on the floor, you can play.
Yeah, exactly. You're on the floor, you can play. There's an expectation of you. He knows there's an expectation of him, you know? So I don't think he's used it or has fallen back on it. You know, I'm not going to say it's not part of it, but it's obvious, you know, it's obviously not the main part of it. There's a lot going on with Randle. He's got to get it together. He's got to get it together. The Knicks need him to win.
We definitely do.
The Knicks need him to win, man.
We definitely do.
Yeah.
1,000%.
You know-
And the last thing that I have to say would be about RJ Barrett. I hope this is not gonna happen, but like in previous years, every time that our players do well, they get injured,
Right.
and then they come back from the injury, and then they suck for like a few games.
Right.
I'm just praying that this doesn't happen on RJ, because we've never seen him have the start that he's having to a season as he's having now.
Right. No doubt about
It's
it.
crazy. Well, what do you guys think about that?
Nah, I agree with you. He's having a good start. You know, last year when he started playing well, then he went out with was it a thumb injury? I don't know, some kind of injury. He went out and then he came
something,
back
yeah. Mhm.
and he started struggling, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
You know, I hope that he doesn't come back and struggle. I hope that he's able to come back and pick up where he left off, because the Knicks need his shooting. You can see where the Knicks miss his offense. Even, you know, he's not the greatest offensive player in the world, but you can see where they miss what he does. It's a part of their routine. It's a part of their system. Some people will say what system, but they have their system, right? He's a part of that system, and they need it. They need him out there.
That first game that RJ was out, it seemed like they were passing the ball, hoping that RJ was at the top of the key to catch the ball to try to drive down lane.
Right. Right.
It seemed like they go, oh, where's RJ? Oh, yeah, he's not here.
Right, and then they're playing the same, you know, they're doing the same things, but with a different player that doesn't do what RJ does.
Exactly. Yep.
You know, and probably can't do what RJ does and Josh Hart. So, yeah, he's, you know, we need him. No doubt, we need him. But hey, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you for your call.
Awesome. Thank you, Sim. Thank you,
Appreciate it, bro.
Andy. I'll holler at you guys.
No doubt. Peace.
Peace.
All right. Later.
All right. Andy, anything about what he said that you want to comment on?
Sim, listen, if someone is asking for Fournier to be on the court, you know I'm not going to stop him. so
Right.
I'm happy about that. Yeah, but yeah, Sim, I basically agree with everything that Q was talking about. I hope that exactly like he said, that RJ is not going to have the problem of that minor, you know, time spending off the court and rust get him on him. And that amount of time, because it's only like 3 games. And if that's going to be the case, that he's going to have 3 games or 3 games off, and it's going to be a 5 game, you know, trying to get the rest off, then he better be, you know, durable. so we don't have those situations throughout the season. Question is that going to be the case with RJ? I think we got to stay and see if that's going to be the case. If not, I don't think also this injury, I think it's only a minor thing. And I think it might be even more that they're, you know, casual about it. I think he probably could play through it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, the smarter thing is, because it's the beginning of the season, we're not already, you know, fighting for a playoff berth or last spot to get into the playoffs and stuff like that. That's why we had this, you know, the time to sit him and to bench him.
Right.
I think if that was be the 75th game and we would need like 2 more W's, I think he would play in these games.
Right.
If it's for better or for worse, I think he would be with the team on the court. About the Fournier stuff, I agree totally. And for guys in the chat saying that Fournier is a god awful defender and stuff like that, I promise you guys every year, and I might do the same promise this year. Maybe I'm gonna finally finalize it and show you guys how Fournier played defense compared to other Knicks players currently, or those years on the roster that we labeled great defenders compared to Fournier. And that wasn't the case, at least from what I saw, right? And that's where I'm gonna leave it.
All right. We're looking forward to it. We've been waiting for it for a couple of years. So we're looking forward to it. Back to the matchups, though. We talked about Paul George defending Jaylen Brunson, right? Where else do you think these matchups go from the Clippers side defensively?
Well, listen, they can, like you said, we saw teams throw their small forward, longer defenders versus Jaylen. To be true, I don't know if that's the best situation for them, because we see that Jaylen can work through it. He gets probably more tired and it costs him more energy, but he can still get his. And question is if it's worth for other teams. With this Clippers team, it can definitely be worth it, because if the situation is that RG is not going to be able to go, then playing Russell Westbrook on Josh Hart is not going to be that dumb of kind of the decision, right? Because Josh Hart is not playing great offense. He's taking only shots, maybe getting back on attacking the hoop on the fast breaks, but that's when anyone can stop him. You don't have to have a great defender versus Josh Hart to stop the offense. And listen, if Josh Hart is going to be your main option on offense, you know that this is a bad time for the Knicks fans. So
really bad time. If Josh Hart is your main focus on offense, you're having a tough time.
If you're counting on Josh Hart to get a W for you, so
yeah, no doubt about that. You're having a tough time. Other than the Paul George on Brunson, and I think they will do it, because I think teams like having a long forward defending Jaylen Brunson, because it makes him have to work harder. Even if he can still get his, he has to work a little bit harder to get his. And then he has to shoot over a long outstretched arm. Paul George is a good defender, right? So it definitely makes it difficult. And they probably will switch Kawhi Leonard onto Jaylen Brunson sometimes too. So I do think he's going to get one of those forwards defending him. I think Kawhi Leonard, for the most part, though, will guard Julius Randle. James Harden, I don't know if they'll have, I don't know. That's a tough one. They might put Russell Westbrook on Julius Randle.
Then they might put PG Tucker on Julius Randle. We saw that several years throughout games. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you seen Russell Westbrook on Julius Randle, because teams have been known to put a smaller guard, strong guard on Julius Randle. Now, Russell Westbrook, he's not a great defender, but he should be as quick as Julius Randle to stop him from going off the dribble. Julius Randle, we know, will be a little bit tentative so he doesn't pick up offensive fouls. He doesn't have that mid-range jump shot that I'm talking about to shoot over top of Russell Westbrook. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Russell Westbrook guard Julius Randle. And then James Harden defending Quentin Grimes. Because Quentin Grimes, you don't have to worry about him, like we said, going off the dribble. You just got to close out on him. Right? And then Paul George on Jaylen Brunson and Kawhi Leonard on RJ Barrett. Or vice versa. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. We've seen Drew Holiday defending Julius Randle, Who else had a small guard that was defending Julius Randle? Another team we played. Maybe it was the Pelicans. Who was their point guard? I forgot. But there was another team that this year we saw put a smaller guard on Julius Randle. You know.
Yeah, that was the case not only with Julius, right? If you're a wing or a big man, it's hard to play versus smaller defenders if you can't shoot over them.
Right.
Because if you just turn over and see the hoop and you can take a shot, that's different. But we saw Marcus Smart, we saw Drew Holiday, we saw way more smaller guards, but stronger in the core, play versus bigger players and get like we call it under them, right?
Right.
That kind of triggers in your mind stuff that you can go up, but when you land, you never know when if you're going to land safely and stuff like that. We saw them do it versus KP. We saw them do it versus Julius. So that's not the like only versus Julius you can put out a point guard or a shooting guard that's going to be just strong in the core.
Right.
That's not the situation. That happens around the league.
Yeah.
So it's not like Julius is the only one that they're going to use a guard to defend them.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely, without a doubt. You know what I mean? But I've just noticed that when he has a guard on him, it bothers him. It takes him out of his rhythm. And he's already out of rhythm.
Exactly. So,
takes him out of his rhythm. Ladies and gentlemen, support the channel. Cash App, $ nothing but Knicks. PayPal, paypal.me/nothing but Knicks. You know why? We've been demonetized and we'll be demonetized until January at the very least. Anything you can do, we fully appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about some keys to the game, Andy. What are your keys to the game? Well, I'll start off with mine, and then we'll go from there. All right, so let's begin with, well, I didn't mean to have all of them up on the screen at one time, but we'll leave it there. Julius Randle. That's my number one key to this game. Julius Randle. We need Julius Randle to play. He's got to get his mind right, get his head in the game, get his body in the game, get his flow together. The Knicks need Julius Randle to win. Julius Randle's not there. It puts all of the pressure. Well, over the past two games, it put all the pressure on Jaylen Brunson. Dropped 45 points the last game. Almost pushed the Knicks to victory. Julius Randle did come on in the fourth quarter a little bit, which helped. But the Knicks need Julius Randle they need Julius Randle. Like it or not, whoever likes him, don't like him, whatever it is, they need Julius Randle. He's part of this team. He's part of the build of this team. It's an important piece. They need Randle. Be efficient from the field. The Knicks just haven't really shot efficiently all season long. Julius Randle is part of that. Jaylen Brunson did last game, but he hasn't really been super efficient. Right? Be efficient from the field. Get more people involved offensively. And I'm specifically talking about Quentin Grimes. I think they need Quentin Grimes to be involved. They got to figure out how to get this guy involved. I think it's going to help open the offense up, take some pressure off of Randle, take some pressure off of now you got to have, you can't just throw your best defender on Jaylen Brunson and throw, your weakest person on Grimes. If you get Grimes involved, now he can take advantage of the weakest person, or whoever it is. But he's not involved. They got to make their free throws. They get those shots, make the free throws. They shot 76%, I think it was, last game, maybe a little bit higher than that. So not bad, but they can do better. They got to do better. Because they've lost a couple of games this season already due to the free throw disparity. And then fourth quarter execution. The Knicks took a 2-point lead, I think it was, versus Milwaukee. And then, boom, Milwaukee comes back. Bop, 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 scores that quick. Not totally off of miscues, but the Knicks weren't able to come back and execute on the other end to match what Milwaukee just put out. So after the Knicks took a 2-point lead in the fourth quarter, 2 minutes to go, Milwaukee took over the rest of the game because the Knicks could not match the execution. Couple of missed foul calls by the refs, things like that. I know, I get it, but the Knicks got to be able to match the execution in the fourth quarter to win basketball games. Got to do it. Andy, your thoughts, anything you want to add to this list?
I'm going to add to get more people involved offensively. I'd add to try to look for Mitch a little bit more. One, I think he plays great on the boards with the rebounding, and he doesn't get rewarded as much for those rebounds. That's one thing. And the other thing is that the Knicks currently are dead last in points in the paint throughout these 5-6 games that the NBA was playing. So, I think that needs to, you listen, being 30th and being way back in the 30th seed, I think that's really bad. So getting a couple of easy buckets on Mitch, look on the, on the alley-oop plays, on the easy dunk spot, maybe putbacks, whatever. Listen, Zubac isn't a guy that's, vertically going to leap over you. So I think Mitch has an opportunity this game. And the other thing is actually rebounding. That's one of the pillars of basketball. No matter, if you're good at it or bad, if you win the rebounding battle, the game is going to be way easier. And I think that's what kept the Knicks close in these games, because last game, I think we won the rebounding battle by like 15 or 13 rebounds. And I think that's so much more offensive possessions. And I think that's why actually we were in those games late. Right. But that's actually our next strength this season, but we got to still keep it up. And I think versus the Clippers, that's a highly possible thing to do. But, it's not like it's a given. So,
yeah. Okay, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. You have a prediction for tonight, Andy?
I think the Knicks are going to win. But it wasn't
you struggled to get that out. You struggled to get it out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yes, I know that I need to work on my leadership skills to make people believe in that what I said. But I think if RG plays, I think we get a W, because I think for the Clippers it's going to be also a problem how to prepare for the Knicks. If it's going to be versus Julius and Jaylen. Maybe RJ is going to play. You don't know what's going to be the rotations. You don't know if DiVincenzo is going to be hot or quickly is going to be hot. I think the Knicks are quite an unpredictable team. Even looking at the situation that we're basically got all the roster back from last season except for one player. So the continuity is still here, but I think you never know which Knicks player can click on a certain night. So yeah, I think currently looking at the Knicks, you can't predict anything, and we can lose versus any team in the league, but we can also win versus any team in the league.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hit him up said Randle went from averaging 25 points per game last season to 13 points per game this season.
Yeah, the same with the average, field goal attempts, right? So
it is, 6 games into the season. It doesn't mean he's going to be here the entire season. Let's see what happens, and let's see what happens. But I don't feel like we've hit rock bottom yet. I feel like we lose tonight. And I always feel like we're going to win, or we'll have a chance to win. I don't know. I don't feel like we've hit rock bottom. This team has always been able to come back and respond. I just don't feel like we've hit that point where we got to respond. I don't feel like we hit rock bottom yet. I don't think we can. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna win tonight. I'm just not. It's it's not. It's not there. It's not there. Hopefully we're desperate enough. We got to come out and play with desperation. We're 2-4. 2-5. You're 3 games below 500. Obviously, you can come back from it, but the schedule is still a tough schedule. I don't know. I don't think we hit rock bottom right now, and I think we're gonna take this L tonight. I hate to say it.
I'm just gonna add, Sim. I'm just gonna add to what you said that I don't think that Tibbs feels that we hit rock bottom,
Right.
and it's not like that's a problem. But as far as using Fournier or tweaking the rotation, even I don't think Tibbs is yet there to make any kind of changes. I think he's gonna go till game 10. Look at the schedule, look at the standings, and he's like, listen, we were close here, close there. Let's go another 10 games.
Right.
And then we can be like 5-15, and then he's gonna be like, it's time to panic.
5-15 is 5-15. You're struggling to come back from that.
We're gonna have marches around the Garden.
5-15. Oh my gosh. You're struggling to come back from that. You got to hit one of those 9-10 game win streaks, man, in order to come back from that.
And Sim, just to add about Julius also, because I think I forgot to mention it. I think he is gonna turn it around on a West Coast swing. So they're gonna have like 3, 4, maybe 5 games road, and maybe that's gonna be the case.
Yeah. My man Khalil from Brooklyn said, "Damn, Sim, you don't think we hit rock bottom?" No, I think rock bottom is getting like super blown out. I think that's going to, right now we've had a chance to beat Milwaukee, had a chance to beat Boston. Who else did we play and lose to? Obviously, we beat Atlanta. We beat Cleveland.
Everyone basically, Sim. I don't think it.
No, we had a chance to beat Cleveland in that game that we lost, right? So we've had a chance, all of them except for maybe New Orleans. New Orleans, ended up being a 9-point game, but,
it never felt close, right?
Right.
But Sim, it's like you mentioned also on the previous shows, that was a back-to-back game, and we had already 2 back-to-back games.
Right. Exactly.
So, and the other, always on the second game of the back-to-back, we looked like we were gassed, and it's the beginning of the season, so.
Yeah, so, I think we haven't been smacked, like really smacked. And so I think it's still, it leaves you with, we were right here. We were right there. We could have won. We were right there. And sometimes that rock bottom doesn't come till you get smacked and you're like, okay, yeah, we got to turn something around. We got to do something now. We're desperate. So
we got to wait for an Orlando Magic game. Cornerstone Kevin's going to be like, we always lose versus the Magic. So
So, trust me, I want to get the win tonight, but I don't know. I don't think we've hit rock bottom yet. That's all I'm saying. But I'm gonna get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back on the post-game show. Steph will be on the Queen's Court tonight, so make sure you check her out at 6:00. She'll be on the Queen's Court. All right, she'll talk a little bit more about the game. She's gonna go over last week and then talk about the game, and make sure you join it. And then I'll be back after the game about 10:30. Any last words, Andy?
I'm hoping for Tony to be on with the Losers Lounge. So
we'll see. I don't know. I know he's got an early morning the next day, so we'll see what's going on.
But we also got to win first, so.
Yeah, right. No doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. If you find it in your heart, go ahead and support the channel. Cash App, $ nothing but Knicks, or PayPal, which is paypal.me/nothing but Knicks, and it's tagged to the top of your YouTube chat. It's also in the description of the video. All right. And I will see you later on tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm up out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. Tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.